Hello and welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host, GB. Today's guest is straight out of the PCW Academy, not just a great wrestler, but he's also a British Isle swimmer. That's the first time I've ever said that in an introduction. Judo champion, you can add that as well to the first time. Please welcome Rossy Rascal. Rossy, how you doing today, mate? You all good?
I'm great. I appreciate it. I hope you're okay as well. I really appreciate it. Nice
Yeah.
little introduction there. That was cool. You changed one of the facts though a little bit. I'm actually not a swimmer. Even more embarrassing, it's Mr. Swimwear, so it's actually a
Oh
swimwear.
my God. You know what? I'm not even going to redo this. Thank you for
No,
to
no,
me,
no,
but
leave that in there. Oh my God. Wow. So yeah, it's just I just wear swimwear and walk down a catwalk. That's all that is.
fair
I
enough.
can't
Fair
swim.
enough. And there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. The turn, and obviously, but the appearance is going to be, a big factor into that as well. I mean, I'm not going to be invited to any catwalks anytime soon. There's a
Yeah.
reason why I sit down, talk to the wrestlers, but don't stand up and do it. Normally, I rewind the clocks, discover like how you got into wrestling, but because it's next weekend, I really want to go into Rascal's Pro Wrestling Academy show in Blackpool next weekend. You're the owner. You'll be hosting your third pro show next weekend, as I mentioned. Let's discuss this show in a bit more detail. It's set to be a big show featuring a few imports from America as well. O'Shea Edwards, Jarrett Diaz, and Jade Newman. So, if you could tell listeners, not just it being sold out, but what can those in attendance expect next weekend?
It's insane. Like this is our third pro show. Let us know what we are. We're actually a community, so we're a community academy.
Yep.
So any surplus or profits actually go back into the children, go back into the academy.
Yeah.
And we just started hosting these pro shows, just again for another way to raise funds, and they've blown up. So on our first one, we had our ultimate villain and ultimate bad guy. Our second one, we had a former WWE talent, and already on this third one, as you just mentioned, we've got a talent from America that have made the top 500 on the PW Insider as well.
Yeah, so,
So it's so cool. So this event sold out within a week. So the ones that are going to be there are going to expect fireworks. There's still more twists, turns, and surprises as well.
yeah.
You never know who's going to show up at our shows. We pride ourselves on that. But for the ones that unfortunately didn't get a ticket, they don't have to miss out fully because they will be uploaded to YouTube at some point. But there's nothing like a live atmosphere. So they are missing out of the
Yeah.
whole spectacle and the surprises, but they do get to watch it some way, somehow. And all the fallout will be on social media as well. So our third pro show, 21st of September, already sold out. So we can't promote it anymore, but we can always build the hype.
That's wicked, mate. I look forward to watching it on YouTube. I know I mentioned about the US imports, but what other British talents besides yourself will be on the card?
So we've got myself, of course. We've also got two really, really good talents. Ernest Boggs, who's a very, very strong up and comer. He plays our villain. He plays it very, very well. So he's been professional wrestling training and on shows for just 2 years now, but he's already racking up his CV really well. He's wrestled former WWE talent on our last show.
Hmm.
Not our show, but he's wrestling British wrestling legend James Mason next week as well.
Yeah.
So Ernest Boggs, he goes by the Yorkshire Wildcard. He's a strong up and comer, very, very, very talented, and he's also hardworking. I can't credit that guy enough. He
Mhm.
edits our videos in terms of the YouTube stuff and the promos. He goes the extra mile for our academy. And another lad, of course, AJ Grimm, who plays our monster heel. He plays any role so well. He's very versatile with his roles, but we book him as the monster heel. It's the easy way to go. But
Yeah.
again, behind the scenes, he's an absolute sweetheart and he helps out so much around the academy. So those two definitely deserve recognition straight off the bat. Very, very, very talented people and very reliable as well.
Nice. And the fact that it's, going back to the community as well, is this what inspired you to create Rascals Pro Wrestling Academy?
The Wrestling Academy happened by accident. It was all an accident. So
Yeah.
I, of course, wanted to be a professional wrestler. Somewhere down the line, I got into judo because I wanted to be a wrestler. And then everything just kind of happened naturally. So I got my black belt in judo, opened up an academy for judo. And then we started doing sports camps post-COVID times to welcome multiple sports, with professional wrestling being one of them, because again, I was pursuing my dream of being a wrestler.
Yeah.
From that, the kids loved the wrestling day on the sports camp to where the parents were saying, you need to do a wrestling school. And it was after the second sports camp, I actually bought a wrestling ring. It was only 12 foot, so it's small. But again, it was just convenient for the sports camps.
Mm.
And then they kept pestering me saying, you need to open up a wrestling academy. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I kind of had that. Am I credible enough? Have I been in the game long enough? I had all that. Like, I
Yeah,
don't think,
I
but as a
understand that. A
coach,
little bit of doubt.
yeah, as a wrestler anyway, but as a coach, I'm more than qualified.
Hmm.
Again, I've been coaching multiple sports for years and we've won awards for our coaching abilities. So I thought, you know what, we've got a ring, we've got the venue, all we need is a logo and a name, and we'll give it a go. And of course, if it fails, no big deal. We tried.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, it's blown up on a scale that we can't even really keep up with
Mhm.
at the minute. Honestly,
You can't
it's
stop
it's
right
a
now. That's it.
oh god, yeah, it's blowing up big time to the point where you said we're doing pro shows with WWE talent and of course these American imports. So
Yeah. So we just had to take a quick break then, but you heard a word from our sponsors. So I was speaking to Rossy about the academy. Rossy, what I'd like to know is what's been your proudest achievement since you've started this academy?
wow, to be honest, it's the fact that we've got a community hub with children that support each other, with a community that support each other, and we're continuing to grow and extend our reach into wider communities. So we're not just sticking it to ourselves, not
Mhm.
just wrestling. We're getting other charities involved now that do other sports or other arts as well. Because we see wrestling as a sport, we see it as entertainment, but we also see it as an art form as well, where children can come in, or even adults. Obviously, we've got kids as well, and express themselves. And our message with wrestling, it's so different to every other team sport because the goal isn't to fit in, it's to stand out. So we always say, why try so hard to fit in when you're born to stand out? And that message is so strong with wrestling that my proudest accomplishment is just building a community with people that can support each other's dreams. Because back when, like, so when we were kids, if our dream was to be a wrestler, that would get laughed at and turned down.
Yeah,
Whereas
definitely.
here, it's actually supported and we work to grow in that dream.
Yeah.
Whether it seems a million miles away or if it's like, you know what, there's potential here. We support every single dream, no matter how crazy. So I think that's definitely the best accomplishment this place has done.
Yeah, I like that approach that you have, and just making them believe that they can do it and not getting laughed at, like you said. Even sort of when we was younger, just people like, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
not going to happen. But you're making it happen, and you're inspiring people as well. But I want to know, Rossi, what inspired you um, to become a pro wrestler?
Oh wow! You know what? I've never really been asked that, to be honest. So on the spot, that's quite a difficult one to ask. I don't know if it was inspiration. I think it was just down to I knew what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
So it was 10 years old. I was on the playground, and a friend of mine had the wrestling stickers. And I thought, oh, well, they're really cool. And I was looking at these like larger than life athletes. So I remember Brock Lesnar being on the sticker, and obviously your big names and stuff.
Yeah,
But these are pretty cool. Like these are really cool. And we made a bit of a childish like tact where it was, oh, we're going to be wrestlers when we're older. And I took it too literally, where I thought, oh yeah. So I think I don't want to be cliche with the whole doubting and people saying no was the inspiration
yeah,
because I don't. I think I was just so one-minded that I didn't even not acknowledge that. I just assumed that I was supposed to be a wrestler, and why not? Why can't I be?
mm,
What I mean? I was always thinking, well, why not? And then it was the classic: you're too short, or you're too. Well, I was overweight at the time. You're an overweight 10-year-old short kid.
yeah.
Do you know? So it's very unlikely, and it's like, yeah, but it's unlikely, but it's still possible. So I just thought, yeah, I understand. And I think if you believe in the whole fate and destiny, I genuinely believe that I was supposed to be a wrestling coach. So I believe I had to become a wrestler, and that was obviously my selfish goal. But I believe I was put on the earth to coach wrestling or coach judo or coach in general.
Mm.
It just so happens that along the way, I was allowed to fulfill some of my own goals and obviously my own achievements. But I genuinely believe my purpose is to coach, and I had to be a wrestler, be a judo fighter to understand that experience and knowledge to pass it on.
I just want to touch on your judo background because I know you've incorporated it in your wrestling, and I think
Yeah.
you said earlier as well, like you did it for wrestling in a way. But just tell me what actually got you into judo in the first place. What was your introduction to that?
Yeah, so again, I was an overweight teenager at the time, with an
Yeah.
ambition to wrestle. And this is again was a time where there was no wrestling academies. It wasn't as popular as heard of, again, especially in our town and stuff. So it was always, oh, it's a phase, or oh, great, what can we do? And we heard that there's a professional wrestler in our town who's traveled the world and things like that. So we finally put up the courage to approach him, and he says, "You're too young." Again, I was about 14 at the time. So obviously now there's places that can
Yeah.
sort that out. So our academy takes some ages 8+, but at the time, you're too young, kid. You need to be 16. Okay, what do I do? He says, go do judo. And I didn't, because I wasn't confident enough. I didn't have the confidence. So it took me 6 months to pluck up the courage. I turned up to a judo school again. No money, because I was very, very poor, overweight, no athletic qualities. I had nothing to offer.
Mm.
And God bless the judo coach, because I don't understand how or why, but he's obviously seen something, and he allowed me to take part in that session when he wasn't taking beginners on. He said, yeah,
Mm.
on you come.
He
And he
saw
was very
something, didn't
kind.
he?
He must have done. And I've asked him this question since becoming a black belt, and he doesn't give
Yeah.
me the answer that I need. But there was a time where it was like, oh, how much are your sessions? And he'd say £3, which is obviously very, very affordable to most. And I'd say, oh, forgive me, please, can I pay you double next week? I don't have that type of money. And he'd say, don't worry about it. Save up for a judo suit, then you can start paying. So I finally bought a judo suit, and he says, save up for a license before you start paying. And so that was something like that was just really,
Yeah.
really cool early on. And I was exposed to that type of mentality early on, that just help people. He's obviously saw a passion or a fire. I
Hmm.
don't know. I went back to him when I got my black belt, and I said, okay, why did you allow me to take part when you were turning people away? And his answer was, well, look at you now. And that
Yeah.
answer isn't good enough, because I was like, there's no way you could have known that. That was, you know what I mean? There's no way.
That's wicked.
It's cool, isn't it? It's so
Yeah.
cool, but there's no way he knew, honestly. I'm like, I can't accept that as an answer. I really can't.
Yeah. Nah, shout out to him, man. It's crazy as well. Like, I might be speaking to someone in a few years that's come through your academy that was in the position that you were as a kid, and they might be similar. They'll be talking about your guidance and you giving them that extra care, or just maybe let them off or something, and they'd be like, "Oh, but look at me now."
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think, like I said, that was one of the first lessons I learned. And this guy's called James Turnley. I've not seen him in over a decade now. It's been a while, because he retired
Yeah.
from judo coaching. I was trying to track him down sometime. But a lot of his lessons and psychology stuff, that was all subliminal and things that they instilled up here. And one thing that I do now is, because he took a chance on me, is I really don't turn people away at the door.
Yeah.
So again, any age, if I can help it, ability, disability, gender, I don't want to turn anybody away, because he never turned me away, and I managed to do some cool things.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, who's walking through my door right now? He might be a little bit troubled. He might have behavior that's hard to control, but let's work with this. Let's give this guy an opportunity. So
Mm.
I try my hardest not to turn anybody away for whatever reason. Everybody's
Nah,
welcome.
that's wicked, man. I can see it as well. Just how you are, your words, and how you believe in what you're saying as well. That's wicked, man. Um, how was the PCW Academy?
It was great. So again, there was times where my judo career was doing really well, and my judo really took off when I first started. I didn't know at the time, but because I was a big, again, heavy, overweight lad, I was using a lot of strength. But in my head, I thought, oh, I'm good at judo, because I kept
Yeah.
winning. But I was just using strength. And then I eventually started to really train properly, get myself in really good condition. And I really didn't know anything else but judo at the time. I was competing all the time. But then I thought, okay, I really do want to be a wrestler, and I'd regret it more if I didn't give it a go.
Yeah.
And then there was times where I'd go to a wrestling show, and I just beat myself up. Like, a bit of ego took over. I'd see wrestlers doing really well, and I wasn't at the time inspired by it. I was just bitter that I would never get off my arse and get involved. So now I take inspiration from everybody, obviously. But at the time, I was like, it'll be me, and I'm doing nothing about it. And then I'd be in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Um, and then there was moments where I think it was Chris Masters had the PCW title.
Yeah.
I
Is that
was a
when he was
fan in the
fighting Chris
crowd. He came up
Travis?
to me. Yeah, Chris Travis,
Yeah.
Chris Masters as well. They were all having feuds, and they put the belt in my face, and I was just stood there like, why am I not doing anything about this? I'm just sat in the crowd. You know what I mean? Forgot about it because judo took off, and then I had a friend of mine doing white collar wrestling with PCW. So this was an opportunity for everyday people to have 8 weeks training and they wrestle a professional in front of their friends and family.
Nice.
So it's a really cool concept for PCW because it attracted so many people in the audience.
Yeah.
And I went down to support the first one because my friend was in it, and I loved it. Oh my God, I love it.
You were hooked.
I'm a big fan of British wrestling, and I enjoy the pantomime side more than I do the actual.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I respect the athleticism, obviously, but the pantomime side just gets
Oh,
me.
the character works well. You know who the babyface are and you know who the heels are.
All
It's
day.
pretty
And
clear,
because they've only had,
especially as a young audience.
yeah, no, totally, because the audience are just friends and family. They're not an educated wrestling
Yeah.
audience.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
And
yeah. Didn't
the
realize.
people wrestling only had 8 weeks training, so it was more character driven than it was actually wrestling.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is cool. So I thought I'll sign up to the next one. I need to. And I thought in my head, I thought I'll do it. And then I've got my wrestling fix. I can just go about my life and say that I've been a wrestler. That's cool. I wrestled T-Bone in the main event.
Nice.
And he was super kind to me. He was a gentleman, and he even put me over as well on the white collar program. So
That's
it was a
class.
big moment for me. And I thought, well, it can't get any bigger than that. So I'm happy just to leave.
Yeah.
I think a few months passed and I got the itch again where I thought, no, let's give it one more go. I want to do white collar one more time. I did it, had a blast. They allowed me to win as well, which was always nice. And then I thought that'd be the end until the booker, Greg Lambert, who's got the best minds in wrestling that I've come across. We've done psychology lessons. He's even written 3 books.
Yeah.
A tremendous mind for the business. Said to me, do you want to come back tomorrow and be in our Rumble event for our actual TV taping? And I was thinking, no, man, I was kind of done. But I turned up and I was overwhelmed because I was in the locker room with Rene Dupree. I was in the locker room, yeah, exactly. I was in there with like Dean Ormark, your wrestling legends, Joey Hayes, Danny Hope, the ones that I was watching as like a bit of a kid in
Yeah.
the crowd.
Watching it as a fan, and now you're literally backstage with them, like
God,
preparing
yeah.
for
And I
this
was
rumble.
overwhelmed. They said, you're just going to have a 2-minute spot. You run out, you do a bit, you get eliminated. But I thought, okay, this is going to be the last time I ever wrestle.
Yeah.
So I've got to do something memorable. And I ran up to Rene Dupree and I judo through him. And, and I proper panicked because I thought, oh God, he's going to beat the crap out of me now. And he said, that was so cool, man. And then he just looked after me. And then that wasn't the end because Greg Lambert was impressed by, again, I was young, I had a great physique, I had the athleticism from the judo. And he says, we'll keep you in the academy. Fast forward to, I think it was only a few weeks later. So remember, I've not had much wrestling training, but I've got 15 years of judo.
Yeah.
And I do train. So I was training for about a few months in wrestling, but this was twice a day, 6 days a week. I wasn't just turning up once a week. They shoved me in there with Joe Hendry as my official singles debut.
Yeah, singles debut, wasn't it? Blackpool Tower. Is that the one?
Yes, absolutely. So they just needed a hometown hero just to get battered. And this is where I big up Joe Hendry because the plan was for him to squash me and batter me and go into his feud.
Yeah.
And he said, no, this kid is a judo black belt. So we're going to have a proper match. And to him, it wouldn't have been a proper match. But to me, it was overwhelming as hell. It was the most basic match ever because it's all I knew. But he made me look like a star in front of, again,
It's still
my
quite
town.
competitive,
So,
though, the match. It's on YouTube, you can see.
and I appreciate that. I appreciate, like, looking back now, I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's basic structure to what I'm capable now, or obviously. So again, I respect Joe for allowing me to go off my structure and not try and overwhelm me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he could have just said, no, kid, this is my feud. I need to look good.
Just kind of be grateful to be in the ring with me, but completely opposite.
Yeah.
You had.
So because of, like I said, and the popularity came to the hometown, again, I was athletic. So I was just getting pushed and I was wrestling your top guys early on to get the experience. So even though I've not been in the game long, the people I've wrestled and the type of training that I've received is very, very good. And I'm obviously very grateful for that. And I do realize that, wow, yeah, you know what? I've been given some valuable stuff. So I can't let anybody down. I have to try and at least do my best every time I'm out there, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm always trying my best.
No, definitely, man. And I like that you embrace the crowd support as well. You know, each time you go out there, like during entrances and stuff, they really are behind you. And I can imagine that's
Yes, I appreciate it. When I first started, I was just surprised people cared. So I was not high-fiving him. I was literally saying to him, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. It actually created this bonding relationship better. But it was just an accident. I was just talking to him saying, wow, you actually care.
Yeah.
And because I was actually talking to him, I think they appreciated it more and then more gravitated. So I wasn't just going out and high-fiving him because I'm a baby face. I was legit, oh my God, thank you. You've
Yeah.
spent money on this and
It's
you
like
know who
I
I
was
am.
once you, where you're seated. I was a fan of,
Yeah, yeah,
and
absolutely. So
I was the
it was a
first.
bit like, wow, overwhelming in a good way early on.
Yeah. No, that's wicked, man. I know we've discussed Rascal's Pro Wrestling Academy, what they've got lined up in the future, but I want to talk about you, Rossy. Like, what do
Yeah.
you want to achieve in the next few years for your singles career?
Brilliant question because when I first laid everything out, I've achieved my biggest goal already, but obviously now it's time to once you climb the mountain, you've got to find a bigger mountain.
Yeah.
So when I first knew I was going to stick around at wrestling, I had loads of like mini goals, which I thought would take a few years. And most of them I achieved in the first year because of the opportunities I was gifted. So some of them were have a singles debut on TV.
Yeah.
That was my first match with Joe Hendry. I was like, oh, wrestle at Blackpool Tower.
That's
That was
wicked.
another goal.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then it was main event Blackpool Tower. I did that in my first year. It was little goals like that. And then my biggest goal was to be the PCW world champion. And then I achieved that in 2022. I became the world cruiserweight champion. And there was a moment of like clarity, which I can't describe because that was my ultimate goal, not just in wrestling, but in life,
Hmm.
where, you've done well, you've won some coach achievements, you've won a black belt, you've got an academy, you've gone from a poor kid, an overweight kid. And then that moment of clarity came where I was like, wow, I've actually become world champion.
Mm.
And then it was great for the time being, but then there was a bit of a dip where it was like, okay, now what? And I couldn't find anything.
Where's this bigger mountain?
Yeah, and I get why big sports stars kind of fall off because there was things that I wanted, but not things that would get me up at 5 a.m. anymore. Like that would always get me up at 5 a.m. and get me to train. And so now I'm like, yeah, there's things I want to do, but I don't need to get up at 5 a.m. anymore. So there was that little bit.
No, I understand
But
that.
and then opportunities came with Target Pro Wrestling. They gave me an opportunity, and we've captured their high octane title and their heavyweight title as well. So I've been the heavyweight champion and everything
Yeah.
else above. So when it comes to wrestling, there's two ways where I want to achieve. I want to bring my students up and my talent up to get their own opportunities because I know what it's like to, as cliche as it sounds, achieve your biggest goal and dream.
Hmm.
Where I feel like, you know what, I feel like I'm in a position where I can help others do theirs as well. Just to feel that for 5 minutes, if that, or obviously it lasts longer than that, but just to experience that, it's like, wow, okay, let's get more people to experience
Get
that.
that reward and feeling. Yeah.
100%. So my biggest goal in life now is just to pass everything on and say, look, I've had my fun, I've had my time with my accomplishments. Let's get used to yours. So when they achieve, I feel like I've accomplished. In terms of wrestling now, I just really want to wrestle fun shows and have a blast with it for now. There's no specific title that I want or feel I need.
Mm.
My biggest goal again at the time was PCW. So that was my ultimate company, my dream company. So it's just crazy how it happened a little bit too fast. So my priorities is to build Rascals Academy up, heading from a community hub, doing community shows to potentially promotion and extend that reach. And then me as a wrestler, I like Target Wrestling. They're a great company. We're
Yeah.
going down a tag team title route, which I've never done. So that's exciting. So yeah, I have ambitions. I've had a great year where I think at least 95% of shows I've been on, I've been the main event. So
That's
I've
quite an
learned a
achievement.
lot in
That's
terms
when you know, like, they're
of, oh my
trusting
God,
you.
it's
Go on,
pressure.
man.
Like you won't
Yeah.
believe it's
Oh,
pressure.
massive
So
pressure.
pressure creates diamonds, but my God, I have a little in joke with all the teams saying, if I'm the main event, I'm kicking off because yeah, you know what I mean? Because you can't do the same stuff that's just been done. You've got more
Oh God,
pressure on you.
yeah.
And then when I turn up and find out in the main event, I go,
Yeah.
obviously I'm happy, but there's an in joke where I'm like, oh my God, here we go again.
By the time you get to the main
And I'm
event, it's like no
also
super kicks. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, no super kicks. We'll tell a story, we'll have fun. And of course, I'm the main event for the PCW World Heavyweight title next week as well. So
Nice.
it's like great. So there's no days off, there's no rest.
Yeah.
It's the main events which are cool. It just means we just got to do that little bit something special, not more. Main events doesn't mean you have to do more. It means you just have to be a bit more special. You have to stand out. So pressure's on.
That's wicked, mate. And you do stand out on the British wrestling scene, 100%.
I appreciate it.
What a great month you've got then, sort of line up already. We're like, what? It's the 12th already, and then big show next weekend, then you've got your title match, PCW. Like, just can it get any better? That's wicked, man. I mean, if there's is there anything that you want to promote or anything you want to share about your academy, about yourself, or any upcoming matches? I'll give you the opportunity to do so now because I've got one last question to ask you, and it's
No,
not
please. Yeah.
just about wrestling. It's a fun question, but anything you
Oh,
want to share as we're
yeah,
near the
yeah,
end.
we'll have some fun. We've got a bit of time, so no problem. So in terms of my matches, the PCW World Heavyweight title is on the same day as my pro shows. So I will wrestle that match, and then immediately I jump into the car. We come down to the academy, and then I not only wrestle, but I produce the
Yeah,
show as well.
yeah,
So it's
you are a worker, mate.
oh my God. And there's a training session in the morning as well. So training session, World
Oh,
Heavyweight title match, come and produce a show, then
yeah.
wrestle on that show. And then I'm taking the American talent back to their accommodation. So I think I'll find time to sleep sometime in the next two
Commitment, my
weeks. But
man. That is commitment. Fair play
it's
to you, though.
nuts. But
Yeah.
in terms of promotions, as I said, it's the Rascals Academy. We have a YouTube channel. We have a TikTok, which is
Mhm.
half run by myself and the kids. So the kids have access to that, and they're posting their own funny little videos as well. So you never know what's going to pop up on our TikTok. We've
Yeah.
of course got your Instagram and your Facebooks. And I think it's worth keeping an eye on us because we're obviously early doors, third pro show. We've already got former WWE talent and American imports. So with ambition to go a little bit crazier and do more. So I think it's definitely worth keeping an eye on us. Again, we're trying our best to keep up with the YouTube as well. So
Yeah.
Rascals Professional Wrestling Academy in Blackpool, in England, of course. So yeah, that's definitely the one to watch out for.
I give my endorsement as well, 100%, back you guys up and yourself. And I do truly mean that, not just saying that because I'm on camera, but
No,
honestly,
it means
check
a
them
lot, man. It
out.
really does mean a lot.
I'll put your social media handles in the description below so fans can keep up, not with just yourself, but Rascals Pro Wrestling Academy as well.
Thank you so
And
much.
if they do miss out on this show, which unfortunately, if you haven't got tickets sold out, but you can watch it on YouTube. But if they do want to attend an upcoming show after, and there are tickets, available in that short period of time, they can find you guys in let me try again, in the social media handles in the description below. I'm getting a bit excited myself just talking about it. But my last question for you, Rossy, it is three dream dinner guests for your dream party. Doesn't have to be about wrestling. Up to you, mate. It can be fact, fiction, anything, cartoon characters, next door neighbor. Up to you, mate. Celebrities, but think outside the
Did you
box. You
say
want to
one or three?
three. See,
Oh,
three.
brilliant. Okay, so
So let's
I
go number
kind of
one
thought
and a
I knew.
quick reason.
Oh, I thought I knew him until you said cartoon character, and I thought, oh God, I've probably got 100 now. First two names that popped into my head, Jackie Chan.
Nice.
Exactly, a bit of a random one,
Yeah.
mainly because of I think he'll have so many stories to share, and I think he's
Mm.
going to be humble with it as well. And it's a unique one because he's been around film industry, he's been around martial arts, he's been around it all. He must be at least 70 years old now.
Must be.
So
I think it's
Jackie
underrated as an
Chan,
actual actor.
yeah, exactly. So I think just in terms of his mindset being a stuntman and doing his own stunts. So
Mhm.
Jackie Chan. Oh, I'm gonna do for second. I'm gonna pick two people because they're kind of similar if you look at it from one perspective. John Cena, Hulk Hogan. Uh,
Fair enough.
now you can kind of see how my character is ultimate good guy because
Yeah.
those two are my wrestlers. So Hulk Hogan, just because that's the first wrestler I ever saw. When I was growing up, my mum tried to make me like wrestling because she thought it was cool, and I was a bit of a dork,
Really?
and I never took to
Great
it. I just
parenting, by
thought,
the way.
okay,
Great parenting.
yeah, exactly, 100%. She just thought, oh, cool kids are watching this, and I'm not, but I didn't take to it. But John Cena, I'm
Yeah.
so captivated by that guy, so he'll be the second one. They were the first two names that popped up. Oh my God, for the third one, I don't know, but the cartoon thing's sticking out. Um, I might have to. This is going to be a deep thinker. This one, a third guess, and it could be fictional or they could have passed away.
Yeah, mate. It can, alive or dead. It's up to you, mate.
Oh man, this is so tough. I kind of gave you three there, but I can't leave you at that. Oh man, I'm gonna have to think. Pop one into my head. Trying to think. Who am I inspired by? Who do I gravitate towards at the minute? Man. Oh, you know what? I don't know. I do not
I'll let
know.
you off. I'll
So
let you off. I feel sometimes that puts
I
people
can't give you, I'll have to
on the
give you
spot.
Cena and Hogan and Jackie Chan as my three, to be fair. I
Yeah,
really
we'll,
can't.
we'll let you have them free. But if it does come up to you, like even during the week, anytime, even over the weekend, just drop me a DM. and then I'll put it in the comments what your answer was. And
That's it. Loads of names are through my head, but when you said the
yeah,
question, those two stuck out, and I thought, okay, I've got to cement them two. But no one's jumping at the minute. It's just loads and loads and loads of thoughts.
one last extra question then: Hogan or
Please.
Cena?
Oh, in terms of my favorite, or in terms of
Personal favorite.
hmm, Cena as a person, not as a wrestler.
Hell yeah! Nice
I
save,
love
Ted.
Cena
Nice
as
save.
I love him as a wrestler, obviously, but as
Yeah,
a person, I think I've taken a lot of inspiration with how he carries himself and how
definitely.
he interacts with people, especially children. So I take a lot. I think Cena all day.
Wicked, wicked. Rossy, thank you very much for your time. I know you're quite limited and very busy at the moment, but thank you for squeezing me in your schedule. It means a lot.
My pleasure. No,
Wish you luck for the rest of the month. So I'm looking forward to watching it on YouTube and obviously keeping up to date with what you got lined up on social media as well. It's going to be
no, I
great.
can't thank you enough, brother. Honestly, it means so much.
Yeah,
Obviously, I'll share all your stuff on our platforms as well, man. I really appreciate it.
appreciate it, mate. It's been a great chat. We enjoyed it. If the fans out there can like this video, subscribe to this channel. If you can follow Rossy and the Academy, social media handles will be in the description below also. But for now, everyone, take care and have a great weekend.
What you call it?